Hey scholars, Miss Metz here, and we're back with another writing lesson. Yesterday we were working on sentence structure, and we're going to continue learning more about sentence structure, how sentences are made, and how we can write really good, strong sentences with proper grammar. Today our lesson is on verb tense. So that's thinking about verbs in past tense, present tense, and future tense. There's three styles of writing that we can do. We can be writing in past tense, so we can be telling about something that already happened. We can be writing in present tense, telling about something that is happening now, and writing about future tense, telling the reader about something that will happen. Today we're just working with regular verbs. Don't worry too much about what that means. What that means is that all of the verbs we're going to use today use the same rules that we're going to learn right now. So we just went over this. Past tense, it already happened. Present tense, it's happening right now. Future tense, it will happen. Each of these tenses for our verbs, remember a verb is an action word. Each of these tenses have a rule that they follow. So we're going to look at this example here. I walk to the park. So we're going to use the verb walk here, and we're going to see what this verb walk will look like in that same sentence in past tense, present tense, and future tense. So we're going to start with past tense. Now, you don't need to write down this example in your composition book. Right now, you can just watch and follow along with Miss Metz and get this in your head. So past tense, it already happened. We already went to the park. It says, I walked to the park. You'll notice here that we added an ed ending. Ed endings usually tell that the verb is in past tense. So we had walk, we added ed to make it walked. Past tense, I walked to the park. Now let's look at that same verb in that same sentence, but in present tense. If I were walking to the park right now, it says, I am walking to the park. Two things happened here. First, we added the correct form of the verb to be. Be, I am, I'm doing it right now. Walking, we added this ing ending. So we added two things. We added am, and we added the ing ending. Now, Miss Metz made a little note here next to am, because when we're talking about present tense, we have two verbs really. We have the verb be, and these are the different forms that we have that verb. I am, you are, he, she, or it. So anytime we're talking about another person or another thing, we use is, we are, they are. You'll see that come up more in our practice, but make sure you pay special attention to this note right here. That's when we are writing in present tense. So coming back up to our present tense sentence, I am walking, adding that ing ending to our verb walk. And lastly, future tense. So talking about how I will be walking to the park, it says I will walk to the park. Now notice the verb walk did not change, but we did add will in front of the verb. I will do that action. You will do that action. So adding in will. So our rules to think about again, past tense, we have that ed ending. Present tense, we use the correct form of I am, or you are, or he is, or we are, or they are, and then we add an ing ending. And lastly, future tense, will, adding that word will in before the verb. We're going to take a look now at our first example. Get your composition book ready, your pencil ready, because we're going to be filling in the blanks here. Our first example that we're using is my mother and I blank cookies. And we're using the verb bake. We're going to take that verb bake and we're going to put it into past tense, present tense, and future tense. So we have this same sentence here, my mother and I blank cookies. We're going to start by putting bake in past tense. Now we learned up here from our example that we add an ed ending when it's past tense. So here we have baked, baked. Think about how you would write that out and include this in the sentence. In your composition book, you'll write past. My mother and I and then the past tense form of the verb bake, which is baked. Now, bake already had an E in it, so we're not adding two E's. That would be silly. We don't need baked. We just need baked. Just adding that D to the end of baked to give it the ED ending. Now that's past tense. My mother and I baked cookies. Second sentence in your composition book, right below it, we're going to do the present tense. So if your mother and you are working right now in the kitchen on baking those cookies, remember, taking that verb bake, we first need to figure out what we're going to add in front of bake. Here it's my mother and I. That's two people. So we would say we are. So we're going to use my mother and I are. Now the second thing that we needed to do was add that ing ending. So we're going to take bake, we're going to remove the E and add the ing ending. My mother and I are baking cookies. A little tricky, I know, but you're going to get the hang of it. And lastly, future tense, still using that verb bake. Who thinks they remember, without Miss Metz going up to the example, how we will put this verb in future tense? And I just gave you a hint when I said that. Yep, we're going to add will in front of it. My mother and I will. Now, do we need to change the verb here? Do we need to change bake at all? No, we're not going to change bake. I will bake cookies. That's future tense. We will do that. We plan to do that. There, that's our first set. Now on the next one, Miss Metz is not going to help you out as much, and I want you to really try and follow those rules to create these verbs in past, present, and future tense. So let's take a look at our next set. Here we have my dad brush our dog. We're going to use that verb brush, and we're going to put that into past tense, present tense, and future tense. First, start with past tense. Without going back up to our example, you can use your composition book in that last example to help you. What do we need to add for past tense? You can pause the video if you need more time. My dad brushed. This mess just had a very loud truck go past our apartment. My dad brushed our dog. ED ending, past tense, brushed. Great. Next is present. Give present a try. This one's trickier. Because this one is trickier, think in your head, okay, my dad. What are we going to use in front of our verb? My dad is. If we go back up here, it's he, she, it. Dad is a he. He is. He is. Now, last part, brush. Oops. Ing, that ing ending. My dad is brushing our dog. He's doing it right now. Present tense is the trickiest one, I know. But future is not too hard. What do we need to add to make this verb brush future tense? How can we complete this sentence? Go ahead and do that in your composition book. My dad will brush our dog. Awesome. We're going to move on to our next one. Try and do this one all on your own if you can. You can pause the video right now and you can just do it on your own. Or if you need more guidance, you can stick with Miss Metz. So here we have the verb explain. In our sentences, our teacher explained the directions. We're going to put that in past, present, future tense. So past tense, our teacher, what do we add? That ed ending. Good. So our teacher explained the directions. Present tense, our teacher. Our teacher might be a he or a she, but we know that he or she uses is. Our teacher is explain. Now there's an ending I need to put here. Is it ed? Is explained? Nope, that's not right. is explain, ing, explaining the directions. Our teacher is explaining the directions. She's doing it right now. Last is future tense. We know this one. We like this one. Our teacher will explain. All we did was add will in front of the verb. Will explain the directions. You getting the hang of it now? Last one. Oh, now someone's skateboarding outside Miss Metz's window. I'm going to go close my window because it's very loud. Okay, maybe you already got this one done while you were waiting, but here we have an object, a subject still. So remember, we learned yesterday, subjects don't just have to be people. Subjects can also be things. The sink, drip. Now, we need to change drip to past, present, future. The sink, how do I make this past tense? Add that ed ending, dripped. Awesome. Present tense, the sink. Remember, we had he, she, or it. The sink is an it, is. So that should give you a hint. How do we make this sentence present tense? The sink is dripping. Hope you got that one. I know that present tense is tricky, but you're probably getting the hang of it now. And lastly, future. You already know this one. Get it down in your composition book. The sink will drip. Going to drip. That's all that I have for you today. We went through past, present, and future tense verbs in our lesson on sentence structure, so still focusing on subject and predicate, what the thing does. And today for our writing prompt, I want you to try something. It's kind of like a challenge. You're going to tell the same story, but in 3 different ways. So you're going to tell the story in past tense, it already happened, present tense, the story is happening right now, or future tense, that story will happen. So to give you an idea of what I'm asking you to do, I have some examples here. First example, my dog jumped out of the car. Here, jumped is in past tense, so I would continue telling that story in past tense. My dog ran down the street. My dog hopped over the fence. Now, in my second story, present tense, I say my dog is jumping out of the car. My dog is running down the street. My dog is hopping over the fence, telling it like it's happening right now and everybody's watching. And lastly, future tense, almost like telling or predicting the future, telling what's going to happen. So same sentence, but I say my dog will jump out of the car. My dog will run down the street. My dog will hop over the fence. So give that a try. Pick one story and tell it in past tense, present tense, and future tense. I would love to see your work on this. So if you want to, send it to me through Class Dojo. Take a picture of it and send it to me, and send it to your homeroom teacher too. You also have 2 past tense worksheets. Now, sometimes ed endings get a little tricky when we decide if we keep the e, drop the e, or add both ed or just d. So I want you to work on that. There's 2 worksheets for you that will be in the PDF for tomorrow's virtual learning. And lastly, a push to work on your quill lessons. Right now, working on sentence structure in Quill if your teacher has assigned it. If not, remember it's not required. It's just to help you get extra practice to keep growing your brain. All right, bye guys. I will see you tomorrow.